Judging from the size of the crowd, I just want to make it absolutely known here that what we're going to show and talk about tonight is probably what most of you already know. However, we're going to turn it back to you a little later on, and we want to hear your fears, we want to hear your questions, we want to hear your concerns. Now, when it comes to questions, we'll probably not be able to answer any of them. However, we'll be able to nod, and we'll be able to wink and raise our eyebrows and things like that. But if you came here expecting to go away knowing more than you probably know, I don't think that's going to happen unless there is somebody in this room who's on the beta team and who happens to be drunk and just spills everything. And then you can tweet to your heart's content, and we'll have a great time tonight. Exactly. And you can hear those whoosh sounds. Larry Jordan was the one who coined the phrase jaw-dropping, which is now universally known. He also wrote a great blog called The Sound of 1700 Jaws Dropping, which was at the Super Meet here a couple of weeks ago. And that's when Apple debuted or gave us a sneak peek, and that is, again, a sneak peek of what is to come. Now, this item is going to ship sometime in June, and then when it comes to the time that we download it and play with it, we will know what this whole thing is all about. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Let's just see what we can make of this evening, this next 45 minutes, and hopefully we'll come up with something a little bit more interesting than a lot of the blogs and a lot of the posts and a lot of the fears and a lot of everything. Because really, guys, there's nothing to fear here. It is software. Final Cut 7 is working right now. Don't get rid of it. It'll be fine. Everything is going to be fine. And here's to also tell you that everything is going to be fine. Please welcome Larry Jordan.
I had 5 facts that I was going to share with you tonight, and Michael spilled 4 of them in the introduction. On April 12th, at 7 o'clock in the evening, in front of a crowd of 1,700 people, Apple did a sneak peek on Final Cut Pro 10. This is a core and key phrase, which is sneak peek. I was invited to sit down front at the presentation. And sitting directly in front of me, I was in the second row, sitting directly in front of me was Phil Schiller, who's head of worldwide marketing for Apple. Sitting to the right of Phil Schiller was a woman named Katie, and I'm so bad with names, but she runs PR for Carrie who? Katie? Katie Cotton, who runs PR for Apple. Sitting to my right was the head of all engineering development for all video applications for Apple. Sitting to my left was the person that was responsible for the lead engineering team for Final Cut Pro. I looked around, there was the number 2 person, number 3 person in PR, the number 4, 5, and 6 person in engineering. I was sitting in the Apple executive session. And this is for a sneak peek of a portion of an application which was being revealed to the public for the first time. The reason I mentioned this is that Apple is legendary for doing absolutely outstandingly killer demos. The demos are tightly scripted. The demos are completely rehearsed. The demos can absolutely be deconstructed in terms of what they don't show and in terms of what they do show. What was most telling for me was who was at the meeting. Apple does not send 20 extremely senior executives to the rollout of an application that they don't care about. That Apple cares about this application a great deal and cares about it enough to take the flack that they took for the method in which they rolled it out. Michael has aged at least 60 years in the last month. And this is not This is not Apple's way of doing something that they don't care about. But because Apple cares about it does not necessarily mean that we should yet care about it. We don't know enough. I had the pleasure of going to Cupertino, and I do have some screenshots and I do have some specifics, but I want to try to set the scene for just a second. I had a chance to go to Cupertino the middle of February. I was invited to be part of a group of 40 people that they did a preliminary launch of Final Cut. And the demo that I saw in mid-February used the exact same build of the software that was used at the Super Meet 6 weeks later. There was no change in the software. There were 2 minor changes in the demo. There were some changes to the keynote slides, but the actual software was the same as we saw in early February. The pacing of the demo, the people that did the demo were the same. Apple does this. I asked afterward, I had a chance to go up and talk to Phil Schiller, and I talked to Richard Townhill, who is the director of ProApp's product marketing. He, more than anybody else, along with the engineering architects, determined what's going to be in the program. And I asked 2 questions. I said, first, I need an on-the-record quote of why this is not iMovie on steroids. And Richard said to me, the on-the-record quote is, we would not roll this program out to this audience at this time in this way if all we wanted to do was to present a new version of iMovie. And Apple PR was standing right next to him, and both of them were nodding their heads. So that is the official line from Apple. It's the wrong audience to roll iMovie out to. But it is a radically different approach to a total rethinking of video editing. This is the new version of Final Cut. It is a single screen. The viewer is gone. In the top left corner is what they call the event browser. One of the new terms that we need to get used to is events. An event is a clip, but it's more than that. An event is a series of clips which are shot on the same day, or a series of clips which are shot on the same scene, or a series of related things, stills and clips. Metadata tracking is built in. There's automatic face recognition. There is automatic date and time recognition. There's automatic timecode recognition. There's grouping. If you've got I think it's, and forgive me if I remember this wrong, it's the EXID or the EXIR, that kind of technical information recorded by the camera is automatically sensed by the application. It builds what's called smart collections. We're familiar with this with iTunes and with iPhoto, where shots are grouped in a smart collection, all close-ups, all 2 shots, all wide shots are grouped. It is the ability to group things by day shot, person in the shot. The metadata tagging is automatic, and it's extensive, and it lasts with the clip. Wherever the clip goes, the metadata tracking goes with it. In the right-hand corner is a window that I'm calling the canvas. I don't know what Apple calls it. It's context sensitive. On the stage demo, when Apple was clicking on something inside the event browser, it would automatically show up inside the big screen on the right. When they would click on something in the timeline at the bottom, it would show up on the screen on the right. We'll call that the canvas for the sake of discussion. There's something very interesting. Notice down here what we're used to. This is the playhead. Let's see if I can zoom in just a bit here. Let's see if I can or can't. There we go. Sorry for the blurriness. This is the playhead. We're used to that inside Final Cut. But there's also something else that's new. It's called the skimmer. We see it in both the timeline in the stage show, and we see it in the event browser in the stage show, and that is that we have the playhead, which is what we're used to, but then we also have a skimmer, which wherever the cursor gets moved, the skimmer displays what it's rolling over, which means that it's a very fast way to review a document in a way that we haven't seen before. When Randy Ubelos was showing stuff, he would click on a clip to select it. And then by simply dragging the mouse down, but not clicking the mouse button, simply dragging the mouse across the clip, he would be able to skim across the clip. Not only could he skim across it, but he could click and select a range, and you could then select a range to which he applied metadata, or a range to which he was able to say, this is a close-up, but on the other side of this range is a two-shot. Or he would be able to set ins and outs by simply dragging the skimmer from one point to another. Much, much more context sensitive than the application has ever been in the past. It goes without saying, and I should probably state now, that it's full 64-bit throughout the entire operation of the application. The 4 gig limit that we've suffered with all these years, where if our project file gets larger than 100 megabytes, instantly corrupts, that's gone. The ability to support more than 1.5 processors. It's full Grand Central Dispatch aware. It's multi-processor aware. For the first time, if you've got a 12-core Mac Pro, you'll be able to have all 12 cores pounding away at the same time. Background rendering is built in. And one of the cool things, and it's hard to see, so I'm going to just sort of, I think I can zoom in. Oh, Command plus. All right, let's see what happens. Look at that. Time code is built into the center. And you notice this, I was watching that on the stage show. This is the indicator of where background rendering is taking place. So this will show you where background rendering is going on. The time code supports all known flavors of time code. Back, back, back. Okay. One of the other challenges that we have, and Apple first they spent maybe a third of their stage presentation talking about the metadata inside the application, how metadata is automatically generated, how you can create your own metadata, how smart collections are grouped. The other thing they spent a lot of time with, you'll notice that the color scheme in the timeline, video is blue and audio is green. I have no idea where they came up with those colors. It's a slow group. All right, so in Final Cut 7, video is blue, and in Final Cut 7, audio is green, just for those of you operating on 5-second delay. Okay, notice, but something that's interesting, look down here. Audio and video are married. Apple has made it easy to, I'm going to use the word permanently, but put quotes around it, permanently encapsulate the audio with the video, so that there's no risk that many of us run into where you click on the video, and because you've set the sync options incorrectly inside that timeline button, you're suddenly moving the video and knocking all your audio and video out of sync. So that audio and video is synced, but more importantly, you notice there's this line down here. They spent a lot of time talking about this. If I move this clip, and this audio is linked to this clip, when I grab this clip and move it, this audio and the sync audio all move as though it's a clump. Think of it as the ability to easily link multiple tracks of audio to a single video clip. Yes, we can by going through a combination of clicks, and I don't remember from the stage presentation what they are. I can separate the video and the audio, so I could do an audio trim separate from the video trim, and Randy illustrated that multiple times on the stage. They call it the precision editor. The precision editor allows me to open up a clip, and I can do a J cut or an L cut, a video pre-seed or an audio pre-seed edit. We have the ability to set keyframes inside the audio the same way that we always have. But what we're seeing is they're working hard to help us prevent doing really obvious dumb things like knocking our audio and video out of sync.